Mark, let's get to some sound from Jerry. He had a lot to say. We haven't had a chance to hear too much. So here's Jerry Jones on what happened today.
But we have the highest paid player in the NFL at quarterback. And we made that commitment last year, and we're proud we made it. It had everything to do with this decision. Everything. It is give us every opportunity with Dak Prescott and Lamb and the base that we've got to win now. This gives us a better chance to be a better team than we have been the last several years since Micah's been here. Not any negative on Micah, but we're trying to get better. We're trying to stop the run and stay in the hunt.
I don't disagree that potentially long-term, yes, because obviously there's a greater sum than just one, meaning you got all these picks, and then who knows what they do with the picks. You might get more players. I understand that. I guess my frustration would be, and I'm not a Cowboy fan, but if I'm a Cowboy fan, if not now, then when? How many years do I have to hear, well, this is going to do this? Well, you don't even know what we're about to do. I got these. Watch when we do it. My son is 28. I'm making it up. He's never seen an NFC championship game.
Sure.
My 22-year-old son has never seen us in the great America's Team documentary with Emmett and Michael Irvin and Troigman and the triplets and all that. I sound like I'm telling old fable tales, wives' tales to him, to my son or my daughter, is what I think, a true Cowboy fan can be feeling. So, yes, I understand that if he were a general manager who had a long amount of years ahead of him, he's 55 and I've got a whole lot of going on. You're Brad Holmes in Detroit. We're doing this for the long term. I understand that. Jerry, man, like I said, if you're trying to, he's 82 years old, and I keep bringing it up only be saying if he's trying to win now and he's trying to get the monkey off his back, to me, you did not do that giving up your best player in your team. Not just a really good defensive player. He's the best player in your team and one of the best in the league. And so doing that to me just set you back. And then you just don't know what it does to the team as a whole. Do guys start to kind of say, nah,
a lot of guys have said about how they're not.
No, they don't like the leadership.
Look at the timeline and be like, they're not necessarily. The Twitter or X timeline.
And they've been saying they're not happy about this because guys want to win. Because I don't know, man, these contracts aren't guaranteed. I'm trying to win now. You just never know. Maybe this is my last year, and I'm trying to win. And you just got rid of the guy that gave me another chance to win. So yes, Jerry, I totally hear you. In the long run, maybe, just maybe. But you know what else could happen? You get a couple of draft picks in the first round, and they ain't all that. They end up being CC plus. You got an A plus guy who won't know nothing but 12 sacks every year, period. And you hope that they come out to be that. But how many times have we seen guys be a bust? Or maybe not even a bust. Just, they're all right. Jadeveon Clowney. Cool, he's good.
I would say the Cowboys historically over the last, obviously finding Dak in the fourth round, that is a strong win.
That's a good one.
Van Der Esch, a lot of these guys didn't get the second deals, but some of these first or early round picks for the Cowboys were good and really played well. I don't think that Dallas misses a ton early in the draft. Ironically enough, though, one of them, Mozzie Smith, a Michigan former defensive tackle, he has been ostensibly now a mess that you're trading for Kenny Clark.
Yeah.
And you, again, can't stop the run, and that's
you're calling
the
him
job.
out. That's the detail of the job. Yeah.
But I don't think that what Jerry just said is necessarily incongruent. The issue that everyone has, and the issue that I have as well with this, is the order of operations. If you made this deal, if Jerry Jones had traded Micah Parsons the day before the draft and gotten 2 first-rounders, gotten whatever the Cowboys pick was this year, and then 18 from Green Bay, and then Green Bay's next first-rounder, I think that we'd be looking at this in a much different light because now you're adding 2 players. Like, if the Bengals with Trey Hendrickson, part of the reason why, theoretically, they could have let Trey Hendrickson walk or not extend him past this upcoming season is because you were drafting Shamar Stewart in the first round. Now, part of the problem is they took forever to
sign him
those deals, but that's at least intellectually congruent with the plan. We don't like where our pass rusher is headed, even though he's had record production. We don't want to offer him a long-term deal. We'll get a guy behind him. That's the way you build a roster in the NFL. Whether you have the machinations of what the actual payment was, obviously was the hang-up there. With this move, Jerry's looking at this roster. he made the point. And I was telling Sagar just off. I was like, Jerry's about to come out here and say, I got the highest paid quarterback in football. I got one of the highest paid receivers in football. We think we need to win today. And I don't think that that's a crazy statement to make when you've got the highest paid player. Like you cut that deal. Whether we think it was a good deal or not, Jerry clearly did because he cut it. Do you see what I'm saying? He gave him that no trade clause. And so if you think that that is true, then paying the highest paid quarterback, the third or fourth highest paid receiver, to maybe second to CeeDee Lamb, I forget the exact numbers. No, he's got to be at least third. But third or fourth highest paid receiver in CeeDee Lamb, thank you. But again, highest when they sign the deal. If you're going to make that, the triplets, all three highest paid, you can't fill out the rest of your roster. You're going to look like the Lakers playing Maxi Kleber off the bench in Game 5 because you got nobody else you trust.
But here's the thing. I didn't have to make them the highest paid because if I do the deals earlier, then they don't have to. And with Dak, if I don't have to wait, if I just do it early, if that's your guy, there's something to identifying what you need early. You go, Packers, they paid a bunch of money, but in the long term, it's going to be great. Remember we were having these conversations 4 or 5 years ago, whatever it is, maybe with Patrick Mahomes, maybe 5 or 6. We're like, oh, he just got all that 400-some million. Well, that looks pretty good now because
it looked good then, too.
It looked good then when you know, exactly, when you stretch that thing out, you knew, well, shoot, I ain't going to lie. The way he looking, throwing no-look passes, behind-the-back passes, left-hand passes, all he's doing is winning a bunch of games and MVP. Yeah, that money is going to be good. And so to me, when you have that long-term view, when you're a prognosticator, I can look a little in the future. I can have the wherewithal and some foresight to say, this is going to make sense. You know what? Dak is good. He may not be Joe Montana. He may never have the career of Troy Aikman, but dang it, we might be able to win one with him. Let's sign him now. But then you mess around and play, and now you got to pay him $60 when he should have been a guy. He should have been Brock Purdy-ish. Because Brock Purdy can look at Dak and say, you ain't done nothing like I've done already.
Sure.
You've done nothing I've done to warrant you making, $16, $17, $18 million more than me. So you take care of him then. He gets a Trevor Lawrence-like deal. We all say, whoa, he hadn't really done, but okay, that's your future. Okay, 40-something million for your guy that you're going to ride this thing out with. Okay, I'm not mad at that. 60 is crazy. 60 was crazy last year, year before, next year, and the next year. You can't get the deal where it's going to be crazy for 5 years. It has to be crazy. It has to be crazy for a year or two. You can't have signed a deal where we're permanently going to think that deal was wild.
So I agree with you. I am not knocking that. Dak Prescott, too, at his best, I think if Dak Prescott was the quarterback of the Packers and not the Cowboys, we talk about an entirely different light because of the attention that the Cowboys get. Dak Prescott at his best has been a player who received MVP votes in this league, a guy who finished second in MVP voting, I believe, or at least was second up until week 15 or whatever. Like, he was right there, and then the next year kind of fell off of the cliff. But just conceptually, this team wasn't getting it done. You go look at this postseason, this team hasn't been getting it done. And if you had traded Micah Parsons at any point prior to now, it would have been a better time to do it. But if you just go back to the gambler, which, again, I didn't call Jerry that. He called himself that in an 8-part Netflix documentary. And I've lost enough money in poker to know. You lost the first big hand, right? You thought you had a good hand. You went into the negotiation with Dak Prescott. You got hosed. You lost the second big hand. You thought you had a better hand with CeeDee Lamb. You got hosed in that negotiation. How many hands can you afford to lose in a row? Jerry folded the cards in, said, I'm going to keep my chips in my pocket and try to continue to stay at the table, as opposed to saying, I'm going to go all in again on this roster and with a team that we all have, as a collective media, have thought the Cowboys were going to be a disappointment this season, and all of us thought that Micah Parsons was going to be on that roster week 1.
You giving out a lot of passes. You throwing a lot of bail. Because we've been giving up 5 or 6 instances where he could have done this different. He could have signed Dak Prescott earlier, saved some money, used that money for some other things. Maybe I'm putting more guys around Micah. CeeDee Lamb. Now, CeeDee was trying to play a little bit game. Let me see who's going to get signed. Let me see what the market is. But he was playing around, but maybe you signed him earlier again. And my point is, you trade. Remember, the story reports come out. They came to Jerry and said, hey, we can trade Micah right now 2 years ago. So all of these missteps continue to be why you're always a few guys short. because it could be not have to be a huge signing, but maybe you just find a nice cornerback, a nice linebacker for a nice salary, nothing crazy.
No, sure.
That adds to the team because of that money you saved with Dak. You were paying him 45 instead of 60. That's 15. We could spread that out a little bit. And to me, these little small miscalculations that ultimately make him look cool because he looks like I'm the big spender hurt the team, and that's why we are where we are. We're after a couple of injuries. The Lions had a bunch of injuries. Now it bit them in the butt finally in the postseason,
Sure.
but they had the depth and they were able to withstand that and still go 15-2 and still beat down the Vikings a couple of times when they weren't supposed to.
I don't think that Jerry I don't think that at this time last year, as the Dak deals, the CeeDee Lamb deals were getting done, I don't think that Jerry felt like he looked cool being the big spender. I know that it was a headline, but like just because I'm really thinking about this morning, man. If I was all ready for Jerry versus salary cap part 3, salary cap wins again, right? Jerry would be getting dragged across the board for getting this deal done because of the timing. Now, whether or not, I don't think the deal is even that crazy for a guy like Micah Parsons. I think it's a good contract, right? Like if it's a contract that if I was Jerry, I would have offered this contract to him. But Matt Mosley said it, and Matt Mosley and Edward are two plugged-in most Dallas guys that you'll ever find. Listen to the podcast at the bottom of the first hour to be able to catch that when you listen to all of it, and I'm sure it'll be a part in the best of too. But Matt Mosley said it. He said Jerry was sick of getting beat up on these deals. And Jerry, if he had signed this deal with Micah Parsons, the next day, everybody would have came out and said Jerry was 2 years too late on this deal, and that's why the Cowboys aren't going to win anything. Now he's going to come out and say at least, here's the thing, if the Cowboys if they do win something now, let's say that, nobody predicted that Washington was going to be what they were. Let's say the Cowboys go on a run and have the magical season and they win 13 games. Jerry Jones by week 10 will be doing those post games with his feet up, saying, I told y'all I had what it took to win. I didn't need to pay Micah Parsons all that money. He goes back to being the star of the show and, honestly, puts his team in a better salary cap position than it was yesterday. Now, not that it was 2 years ago, but today, in this situation, I can get it. I get what you're saying.
While his feet would be up, it might as well be Groundhog's Day because they'll go 13-4 and lose in the first round or the second round, obviously, and then we'll be having these same conversations because at this point he's created himself where it's only a Super Bowl or bust. Most teams do that. Lamar Jackson, it would make sense. Josh Allen makes sense. Somehow the Cowboys are in Super Bowl or bust when they don't have it. It's not even warranted because they don't even get close regularly enough to
they
be
paid that man just like those guys.
Yeah. All right, let's do this. 877-99 on Fox, 877-99 on Fox. We're going to take some calls. Again, I know you've been wanting to jump in. We've been going at it. We've had some interviews. We haven't been able to, so we'll open them up right now. Do you believe, Jerry, in that the Cowboys are in a better position after this trade, or you are not sipping on the Jerry Jones Kool-Aid?
The issue with trading Micah Parsons is the timing in which you did it.
And
that's the biggest issue and I think that we will make fun of Jerry a lot for it, and he deserves to be made fun of. But conceptually, the idea of trading Micah Parsons when you have the highest paid quarterback in football and third highest paid receiver, it's the same conversation that we had with the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, should they pay Trey Hendrickson? And a lot of people were not going to, if they had traded him, would not be like, oh, Mike Brown. Like it.
The one other difference too is Trey, as great as he is defensively, Joe Burrow's your best player. You can say Jamar Chase is your best player, maybe one or two, however you want to do that.
No, I'm with you.
Whereas Micah is their best player. All right, let's take some call. 877-99 on Fox. Let's go to Washington. Johnny in Washington, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio.
Yep. Thanks for taking my call. But I feel like he's such a businessman, and that's what it comes down to, right? That want to get paid, and look what happened to him. I think he's garbage. And then remember back then, Zeke want to get paid. I think he's garbage. So here's the deal: you play for me. If you keep on crying, I have to let you go. But I don't think it's a good idea right now because of the situation with the team. But I think overall, he's telling the team, go here. You cry, you're not playing for me. I don't care how good you are. I'm going to find somebody, and then I'll take it off the air. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it, man. Thank you, Johnny. Let's go to Dallas and talk to Dion. I don't know what your temperament's about to be, Dion. Are you happy? You sad? You mad? What are you? Dion, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio.
Guys, hey Martin, hey Kelvin, man, great show, great topics. You guys sound good over the airways.
Appreciate you,
First
brother.
thing I text out to my buddies is, man, how dumb. This is the first thing I said. But I will say this, Jerry is not being real. At the moment, you can't think you're better. But let me ask you guys real quick, is the defensive tackle that they traded for, is he pretty good? I mean, I saw that he had made a Pro Bowl. Is he going to start right away for Dallas?
Oh, he will be starting, I imagine, for Dallas. Yeah, you're making it. The big thing with him, he's 30 years old.
Okay, yeah, he's elderly. He's 29, about to be 30. So, but I will say this, guys. I don't remember a memorable play that Micah Parsons has made with his tenure there. And at the same time, Green Bay realizes that if Detroit last year didn't have all those injured people, they are your Super Bowl participants in the NFC. Yeah. So I think they want to get Parsons up there to kind of help and make them throw their name in the hat per se. And real quick, hey Martin Weiss, I kind of disagree with what you said last hour about San Francisco firing Steve Wilks. You said the one time they made a mistake, it was they lost the Super Bowl. Well, honestly, Steve Wilks, they wouldn't even let him sign members to his own staff. They just hired him and said you can't pick any staff members. And then the team didn't even know the rules in overtime. So I kind of feel like Shanahan almost darn near should have been on the hot seat for not knowing the rules for overtime. He was like, hey, we want the ball first. Not in that situation. You want the ball second so you can know what you got to do. So I think Steve Wilks is more of a scapegoat. But,
I agree. I agree with you, actually. I do think that Steve Wilks kind of caught more blame than needed to. The only reason I said that it was deemed a mistake is what I was attempting to say, because that's who they kind of put all the blame on, was Steve Wilks. But I don't think that, I mean, again, the team was in the Super Bowl and played pretty good defense all year. It's like the greater point I was trying to make, Shanahan's really good at hiring his guys, but I don't have any qualms with that.
All right, appreciate the call there, Dion. Let's go to Andre in Massachusetts. Andre, you're on with the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Dre?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for taking the call. Listen, I wish Jerry Jones was better at hiring and retaining his guys, because absolutely not. Dallas Cowboys are not a better team today without Micah Parsons. Come on, man. The proof is in the pudding. Defensive Rookie of the Year 2021, two-time Pro Bowl, two-time All-Pro First Team, four-time Pro Bowler. Just stop it. Okay, he's a transcendent player. He's a difference maker. He's somebody that teams have to scheme for, and frankly work around. So the bottom line is this, and based on what other callers have said, that whole my way or the highway mentality, I can understand that, but that's how Bear Bryant coached. That's how Bobby Knight coached. Right? This is a brave new world that we're living in, right? That's more in line with how Mike Tomlin goes about his business. What does he say? I'm going to deal with it until I can replace it. So Antonio Brown was out there being AB, being wild, okay? I'm going to deal with it until I can replace it, okay? And I have a plan B. And as you've said, there's no plan B for the Dallas Cowboys. So this comes down to what we all know about Jerry Jones, okay? It has to be his way, no matter what. And that's why the Dallas Cowboys haven't won anything in 30 years, although the Netflix special has been getting good reviews, okay? Yeah. So for Cowboys Nation, I'm feeling for you. You keep getting those 5-star reviews in terms of the docudramas or whatever. But there's going to be no winning in Dallas.
Dang, dang. Everything 30 years ago is still what's they bring it up. The only thing that's going good for them is a 30-year-old doc that just released, only talking about 30 years ago. They ain't won in 30 years. My goodness. So going back a little bit here, Martin, to the other side of this, and that is the Packers. And now there's the pressure on them, because I look at the Packers as a team that, again, historically, blue blood, we know what they've been. And to their credit, they always find a way to right the ship. And I'm not saying they're going to win Super Bowls every single year, but they right the ship. They never suck. And how I know this is because I'm a Lions fan, and I'm like so tired of them up until the last couple of years. And so they went all out after really only seeing Jordan Love for 8 games, say, here's the bag, okay? Because one thing we know when we have our guy. We saw it with Brett. We saw it with Aaron. Matter of fact, we said, Aaron, come on over here. I know we still got Brett, but come on, have a seat for a few years. Don't worry about it. You're our guy. Jordan Love, come have a seat for a few years. It's okay. Don't even worry about it. You're our guy. And now to help fully tool and fully load the team for our guy, we have a Micah Parsons. Now, you can also look at it as they're all in, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. See, this is the difference between Jerry to me. We have the quarterback we believe in, who's still relatively young. We have one of the youngest teams in the entire NFL, and we got our star player in Micah, who is also young. It's not like he's the hitman for hire who's coming in at 30 and this has to work this year kind of a thing. He's only 26. So they've got themselves built up for the future, in a division where they should be. And I would imagine at some point they feel the wheels should fall off or the Lions aren't going to be able to keep paying everybody and something's going to change there. Minnesota, yes, defensively, they're good. Maybe Brian Flores leaves at some point. The defense changes a little bit because that's a real thing. Maybe he gets some money from the league. You know, he's got that lawsuit. Maybe he just decides to move on. Who knows? Gets a head coaching job, whatever it may be. So they're playing the long haul game, saying we want to make sure we lock in our guy in Jordan Love to get his ring because that's what we've done now for 30-plus years with the quarterback we believe in. By the way, Jordan Love, you're that guy. And so I just like what they're doing. And now it's a different sport, but you wonder if Micah has a little pressure. Juan Soto-like, again, different sport, but just where, hey, you got all this money. You're setting a record for money for a non-quarterback. All eyes are on you. You wanted to get out. You got out, and you didn't go to a terrible team. You're not on the Panthers. You're on a team that was, a playoff team and a team that people have some expectations for. I wonder if Micah views this as more pressure or he wants to do more now to kind of rub it in the face, if you will, to Dallas.
I think that there's the pressure on Micah Parsons, I think, exists kind of regardless. But also, too, I don't think that he is bothered by that. Michael Parsons is a media personality as well as a player. And he has openly spoke about, and he showed me last year, the team's success does not necessarily change how I'm going to talk about everything. He was just as much on Front Street as he was when they were 12-5 and he was racking up all these crazy sacks. And he just was talking about all the same type of stuff. The pressure to me is squarely on Jordan Love. This is a move that you make because you think you have a guy you can win a Super Bowl with. Very much in the same way that Jerry Jones was saying, I'm not going to pay Micah Parsons because I paid Dak Prescott ostensibly what he said when I got the highest paid quarterback in football. When you are paying this guy this money, whether it's Dak Prescott, whether it's Trevor Lawrence, whether it's Jordan Love, whether it's Joe Burrow, whether it's Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, you pay them that amount of money because you believe that's the guy that can win you a Super Bowl. Even if they haven't done it yet, even if it doesn't feel like, as a fan, you think it's likely, because you just can't. This too prohibitive otherwise. This pressure, to me, is on Jordan Love, who, to me, was a circumstance of next up as opposed to best up when it comes to the contract and the contract negotiations, and it has not been consistent in his 2 seasons as a starter. I know you could look at some of these advanced numbers. You look at all the drops that he had as last season with the Packers kind of no-name receiving core, all due respect to Jaden Reed and we all know their names, but there's
no
not
name.
Exactly.
It fits.
And Matthew Golden is supposed to step in there, and all the reports say he's going along swimmingly and could be a stud, so maybe that's the answer there. Now you have your triplets. But the pressure, to me, is on Jordan Love 100% because he is paid like the type of quarterback that is going to be able the type of guy that in a tough spot will get you over the hump. And, you look at as good as Chris Jones is and as impactful in the Super Bowl wins that Kansas City has had, Patrick Mahomes lifted an MVP trophy.
Yeah, but I'll tell you another guy who had it. You talking about in Super Bowl, making Super Bowl moments. I look at Aaron Donald, and that man was a man in that Super Bowl run for them. He was throwing the lineman all the way out the way and even got to Jimmy G and finalized the game and said, ring me. So I do like we got to call Von Miller, what he was able to do with them as well, and obviously what he was doing when he was with the Broncos. I do like the pairing of a really good quarterback, keep our offense going, and they had a really good the Packers defense to be so young were actually really good. They were 6, I believe it was, and
6 in total defense.
Yeah.
I know Xavier McKinney led the NFL in interceptions for, if not the entire season. Most of it was a free agent pickup from them.
They were top 10 in most of the defensive stats. So they
last year made a defensive hire coach, Jeff Hafley, who's head coach at Boston College, became their defensive coordinator, and then two really did kind of come together.
Yeah. So I'm looking at them as obviously they feel look at what we did in a short amount of time. Look how young we are. We bring in one of the top 2, 3, 4 best players defensively in the league. We should only get better. And again, in a division where they know we're going to have to stop a couple of offenses that could be good if Minnesota is anything like they were last year. And obviously the Lions were the number 1 offense in all of football. So Jordan Love has to get it done. And again, I think this is their saying, we believe in you, because again, when we have seen it, We've invested in it, and we have gotten an ROI to the tune of a couple of Super Bowl appearances for the last two quarterbacks before you. Each of them won one. So that's what we expect out of you, Jordan Love. And I'm sure he would say he expects that out of himself as well. All right.